The IRF had done it. The cure was made, with tests being run until they were completely positive that it would work. The small shacks that appeared on the map previously then suddenly opened the top of their roof. Antenna-like towers peeked out and started transmitting the cure through energy waves in the nearby area. Once the cure waves struck the infection substance, they would dry up into a blue, shriveled stone. These cure shacks were placed strategically to cover all the areas that had the infection, so that not a single bit of the infection was left uncured. For the sake of scientific research, 2 meteor craters were isolated with a force field to contain the infection inside. After research was done, the infection zone force field would slowly shrink and shrink until the infection dies off. The first infection zone was labeled the Ripped Crater and was located southwestern part of the island. The second infection zone was labeled the Sinkhole and was located next to the mansion in the woods. The once infected Industries has now become the Cured Industries, with a massive crater of infected meteorites next to it becoming cured as well. Strangely, the dead remains from some Xandromedians had certain spectral forces rise above. These forces slowly made their way across the island until they reached the mountain next to the market town, the resting place of the last living Xandromedian. They all collectively gather around the Xandromedian's remains. Over by Misty Mountain, Tarragon's space traveler was completely ready for takeoff. The people would push their boundaries and explore further. The launch sequence commenced. The ship rocketed off into the sky before ripping through the space-time fabric to a different place. Everyone waited patiently for the ship to return, but it was taking longer than expected. Suddenly, the ship came back, bringing a vortex through space-time from where it returned. The ship first shot through the ground in the eastern part of the map, directly through one of the non-infected meteors from Voss. The vortex then began to shoot out things from its place of origin, including chunks from a mesa biome. The ship haphazardly flew around the map until it lost control once again, flying straight up into the sky before teleporting away once again. The people didn't have to wait much longer until the ship came back. It broke straight through the urban lake bridge, perfectly breaking through and creating another space-time vortex underneath the rubble. The ship started to distort the island they lived on. Structures from around the island started to teleport about nearby the vortexes. The land below the crashed UFO floated up and went towards the energy of the eastern vortex. Other structures did the same, like some of the farmland from Market Town and a random house. From the northern vortex, floating islands carrying a building from the Cured Industries, a rumbled ruin structure, and a house from Tarragontropolis all surrounded the vortex. The ship finally broke through the space-time one last time, but took longer to return than any of the other times. But just as the people were sure it was gone, it came back, bringing an entire floating desert with it. The vortex it left behind was in the southwestern portion of the island. The massive desert island that was brought along towered over everything, and was seemingly glitched to float above the ground just like the other floating islands around the vortexes. The ship was low on fuel, and broke through its last and shortest teleporting portal. It quickly came back and crashed near rumbled ruins, sadly killing off the crew of the ship in the process. This disaster was so terrible for Tarragon scientists' reputation, so the government cut their funding, and had to resort to fixing the matter themselves.